that first injury was the most serious injury I've ever had. So, yeah, it was frustrating, but I knew that I could come back to that level.
How have you managed to deal with social media, positive and negative, in football? And also, moving forward from that, what advice would you give to people about how to deal with the pressure of social media?
Yeah, well, when I first broke into the team, I remember I was one of the first guys on Twitter, and I remember a lot of people saying, like, what are you doing? Why are you on there? And I remember just using it as banter almost. Like, I'd have banter with the Spurs fans, they'd give me banter back or talk about the game. But now it's completely changed. You know, a lot of teams, clubs, sponsors, you have to do things for social media. That's part of the game now, and I think it's more difficult now for someone coming through, especially at the big clubs, and I think there has to be a support network on teaching players how to use it and how to deal with it, because listen, we're all human, and you could have a good game and think you had a good game, and then you go on social media and you read your comments, and that one person who said, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, or you've been bad today, that always sticks in your head, and I think that can affect you. And there's a lot of people saying that don't affect me, I don't care, but I think as humans you carry that with you, and so I think there has to be something put in place which helps young players, firstly, how to use it, because players, I feel like some players are using it, some players do use it good, but some players aren't using it right, and then how to deal with that, because it's a big part of the game now.
Moving forward past that season, I don't really want to spend too long talking about your injuries. I don't really think it's necessary, because we're trying to talk about your football. But after 17 months, you make your first appearance back in the first team in a game at QPR, and you win man of the match for that game. I want to really know, not necessarily about the injury, but the period of time that you were injured. How difficult was that mentally to see yourself getting back to that level? And then how did you feel after that game, knowing what you'd just done?
Yeah, it was a difficult time, because I never had an injury before that. Even like growing up in the academy or in the youth team, I used to play all the time. I used to play school football, and as I said, I just loved playing football. And then I'd obviously broke into the first team that year and had a really good year, and thought, now right, this is my chance. I need to keep working hard to get better and keep playing at the top level. Keep Arsenal in the Champions League, and I was a really important player at that point as well. And then I picked up a little injury in a pre-season game, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought, I've hurt my ankle, I'll be back in a few days or whatever. Then having the tests and scans, realised pretty soon it was quite serious, and it was difficult because it went on for so long. Like, I'd obviously had an ankle injury and then came back and got a knee injury, and I was thinking, like, what do I have to do just to get back to training? Like, I can't get anywhere near it. I'd break down after 5 or 6 running sessions, and that helped me a lot as well, and in terms of realising the demands and what you have to do to play at the top level. And even, I know it says I was out for 17 months, but I probably was out for about 14 months, and then started training and playing with the under 23s at the time. And it just took me that time to get up to that level. And I remember the morning of that game, normally the boss gave the team the day before the game, and he didn't. I didn't think anything of it. And then about 3 hours before kickoff, he puts the team up, and I was in it. And I remember thinking, am I ready for this? And he obviously did that for that reason, because he didn't want me going to bed the night before thinking or worrying about it. And yeah, I mean, the feeling after that game was, because as well in that game I got absolutely smashed by someone, and I remember always thinking that in the back of my head, like, what if I get smashed, because I'm that type of player who wants to run with the ball, and You know, I'd played a few games with the 23s, but it weren't the Premier League, and you weren't playing against men. And yeah, I remember after that game, just absolutely buzzing, like just thinking, right now I'm back here. I need to do what it takes and what I can to stay here.
You mentioned there a little bit about how difficult it was to physically get to the level that you needed to be to compete at the Premier League. Specifically, what sort of stuff were you doing? And at what point did you, obviously before the game, you've just said there that you weren't sure if you were ready or not. Like, what is the perception of being ready to play at the top level? Like, what do you have to do?
I think when I think about it, the perception I give it is not really fitness, because listen, it was my first game in ages. Adrenaline would get me through that, and yeah, it'll be difficult. But I think if a game isn't difficult for someone, then they're probably not pushing themselves as hard as they can. And my perception was like rhythm on the ball. Would I be able to still do the same things? Would I be able to go up to a player and beat him, get close to him like the type of player I am? And that was more in my mind. It's more of a technical thing. Like, I don't want to give the ball away. I don't want to make silly mistakes. And I've always said as well throughout my whole career, and it's probably not a good thing because it can determine certain things, certain games. And I always think about the first pass, like your first touch. And if that's good, then okay, you can build on it. And usually, I can't remember a game where, because I'm so focused on that, where like your first touch, you give it simple, and then yeah, okay, you're in the game. And yeah, that was going through my head a lot.
So people obviously trying to reach the top level may or may not be there at this moment. A lot of the guys probably listening to this will be at a low level. Do you feel like they can attain the training standards of a top level guy, and what do they look like?
Yeah, I think you've always got to have that focus in your mind, because I think about players who've had a different way of getting to the top than I did. Jamie Vardy's, even players like Dele Alli. Dele was in an academy, but playing at a lower league team, and then got his opportunity. And Vardy, look at Vardy, came through non-league, and now he's played in World Cup. So I think in terms of keeping that focus and training right, eating right, I think anyone could do that. But I think a lot of it comes from your focus and your drive and where you want to be, where you want to get to, and what you're going to do to get to. Because I think that is the fundamentals. You have to live right, you have to eat right, you have to get your training right, and give yourself the best opportunity for when that opportunity comes around to take it. Because it could happen whenever. As I said, I played with players who have gone that way about it, and I remember speaking to Vardy actually at a World Cup, and he always thought he was good enough. He always thought he would one day get to the top, and there's different ways of doing it. But I think one thing you can do is make sure you give yourself the best opportunity.